Total War Warhammer 2 is a game with one too many wars in the name, but don't let that distract you from the fact that it's one of the finest strategy games available. I've been playing the Total War series since before I was born. I even made a whole video about Warhammer 2 like 4 years ago, but that was back when my computer sucked and couldn't record massive battles, so I think it's time for an update. This game sure has changed a lot since then. I thought things were getting out of hand back in Warhammer 1 when I paid $19 for the Beastmen. Little did I know. This game's got a paradoxical amount of DLC, but to its credit, it's all pretty good, and once you paid $60 for 10 Witch Elves, spending $10 on a dozen new unit types suddenly doesn't feel so bad. Total War Warhammer 2 has more playable legendary lords than I have years left in my life, so I haven't played every campaign. My goal in this video is to give you just the general gist of each faction, and I do have my favorites, so it may be a little biased. Any discussion of Warhammer 2 races has gotta begin with the Empire, which is why I'm gonna start with the Dwarves. Do you like firearms, heavy artillery, and heavier dudes? Are you still mad about that one time Grimgor broke your Optimus Prime in 2nd grade? If so, then the Dwarfs may be the faction for you. Their campaign mechanics are all about being pissed off at everybody and getting revenge, which they do with helicopters. Their roster consists of sturdy infantry and lots of fun ranged options. If the phrase dwarfs with flamethrowers doesn't appeal to you, then I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Dwarves have a few different playable lords, but only 2 of them sit on giant chairs that are being carried by other dwarves, so there's really no reason to play as the other guys, unless you like redheads. Their only drawback is that they're super slow since they don't have any cavalry, but who needs maneuverability when you can just fight in the underway? Leave those pesky sightline obscuring hills, rocks, and trees behind and come visit the underway today. Just don't complain when your entire campaign gets derailed by a Skaven interception. What did you say? Oh, nothing, Mr. Inquisitor. I was just gonna go talk about the Empire now. Ah, yes, the Empire. The generic humans in a world where every other faction is much more interesting. Well, almost every faction. What if we had the same medieval European vibe as the Empire, but instead of supplementing it with guns, wizards, or anything interesting whatsoever, we just didn't do that at all? Get the heck out of here, Bretonia. I'm playing Warhammer for a reason. I'm not trying to play Medieval 2 again. I should replay Medieval 2. Thus concludes my thoughts on Bretonia. Anyways, the Empire is just regular dudes with swords. They may not have dinosaur artillery or giant rock monsters, but what they do have is guns. Pistols, grenade launchers, literal tanks, riflemen, mortars, Hellstorm rocket batteries. I mean, come on, how you not gonna like something called the Hellstorm rocket battery? On the campaign map, their goal is to unite the various minor factions into one massive blob that takes up a quarter of the map. Minor factions like Kislev Flesh, Karlberg Crimson, Nullnoil, Reichland Fleshshade, Sturland Battlemire, I Have a Problem. It's a fun little narrative arc to hastily unite the Empire before fending off a massive Chaos invasion. Unless you play with Chaos invasions turned off, you know, like a sane person. Chaos is a faction technically, but I don't think I've ever actually had fun playing their campaign. They were a pre-order bonus faction for Warhammer 1, which some people are still mad about, but if you don't buy them, you're not really missing out on much. They're fun to control in battles, cause it's always fun to play as the bad guys, but to me they're more of a custom battle faction. Making a coalition of men, dwarves, and elves face off against 4 maxed out stacks of Chaos Warriors never gets old, while trying to actually complete a Warriors of Chaos campaign will age you 40 years. Chaos is a horde faction, which means they bring their cities with them instead of occupying normal ones, but their horde cities grow so slowly, and also everybody on the map hates you, so have fun trying to destroy 4 superpowers and raise 80 cities. On the other hand, Norska is basically Chaos but good. They go around consolidating all the Viking tribes, then launch raids on the Empire, which is what Chaos would be doing if they weren't garbage. I've never played a Norska campaign to completion, so I don't really have much to say about them. I usually just go long enough to get the Mammoth, watch it do a battle or two, and think, huh, the Mammoth is pretty fun, then forget about the entire faction for a year or two. They're solid, but probably the least cool looking out of all the DLC factions. Tomb Kings, on the other hand, look awesome. They're basically zombie Egyptians, and if their hordes of skeletons don't kill you, this thing definitely will. They're pretty fun to play with in battles, but I'm not the biggest fan of their campaign because all their stuff is so expensive and takes so long to unlock, like, ugh. Come on, I need instant gratification every 5 seconds, which is why I'm glad the YouTube app added this nifty new delete your brain cells button. Look, I just don't get the TikTok stuff, okay? It makes me feel old, so I hate it, which is probably how the Tomb Kings feel about the rest of the world. If for some reason you don't want your skeletons to dress up like Egyptians, the vampire counts may be for you. They got the classic gothic horror vampire aesthetic going, which if you like it, then hey, good for you. Personally, I think they're kinda lame because it looks like you're controlling an entire army of Scooby-Doo villains, but now that I say that out loud, that sounds actually amazing. Okay, yeah, forget what I just said. This is the best faction for sure. Choose from a wide variety of vampire lords like Manfred, Isabella, Vlad, Barnabas. No matter who you choose though, make sure they don't get killed in combat or your entire army will die instantly, which is, you know, a bit of a downside. Also, they have no ranged units, but you can just neutralize enemy archers by hitting them with bats, so it's not really a big deal. Just, you know, vampires with guns would be pretty cool. Oh my god, yes, now that is what I'm talking about. Okay, so Vampire Coast is just vampire counts, but cool. Zombies can now carry cannons. The new Londo Ghost Ladies are here. There's a walking pirate ship mech with a giant revolving gun arm. Giant enemy crabs that are able to attack weak points for massive damage. There's a giant gun that's almost as big as the city walls. Are you seeing a pattern in which factions I prefer? If you're gonna buy a DLC faction, I recommend to get this one. Or maybe you could even fully embrace the pirate lifestyle with the help of a VPN. Could you imagine if somebody's NordVPN ad was just saying like, yeah, you can use it to steal video games, like not even trying to go the privacy angle, just straight up advertising piracy? That's a great idea and also probably illegal, but you know what should have definitely been illegal? Charging full price for the Beastmen faction. They are just so bad. Or they were so bad. They just got a free update that makes their campaign way more interesting. There's a buttload of new mechanics, and from everything I've seen about it, it really is one of the best campaigns in the game. I just do not care about Beastmen, like, at all. I'm sorry. If you clicked on this video hoping to get a rundown of the new Beastmen update, then sorry, but to be fair, they weren't in the thumbnail, so what did you really expect? Goat people and minotaurs and cygors and stuff are all cool and great, but you know what none of them have? Gatling guns. If you simply must play a furry faction, then go with Skaven. They're great. Skaven are disgusting little rat boys that specialize in crazy technology. Grenadiers, flamethrowers, lightning bolt, machine guns, snipers. The only thing that can make this better is if they had nuclear bombs, and they do. On the campaign map, Skaven excel at pissing everybody off by spreading Skaven corruption and building secret Skaven undercities. They are really annoying to play against, which means you know they're gonna be super fun to play as yourself.
Hey there, I couldn't help but overhear that you like ranged units.
Ugh, go away, Wood Elves. Nobody likes you.
Aw, come on, man. Like half of our army is archers. You'll love us.
Yeah, sure. Got anything that uses gunpowder?
What? No, never. We only use natural materials in our weapons. We despise the smoke-spewing factories where firearms are made. They are ruining the environment.
Yeah, whatever. Just shut up. Get out of here.
Fine, but when you play a campaign, we will occasionally burn down one of your cities for the lulz.
Yeah, that's all great, but listen, you guys' whole thing is forests, right? But somehow you're not even the best green faction. Orcs like fighting and killing. Simple as that. So you fight, which summons a wog where you get free orcs to fight more, and it just kind of snowballs from there. If you want to destroy the realms of men and dwarf alike with an unstoppable green tide, then the boys is the army for you. They've got some cool monsters and funny goblins, plus the best artillery in the game with a Doom Diver catapult. I don't know if it's statistically the best artillery in the game, but it's the most fun one to use, which is what matters to orcs. Bastiladons with solar engines might be more fun if you could actually aim that crystal, but sadly the AI aims for you, so I guess I'll just have to be content with an army of T-Rexes. Lizardmen are an army of lizard/dinosaur people that want to extend their floating Rainbow Road racetrack by conquering cities and forcing all their citizens to install Mario Kart 8. Pro tip, if you ever play Mario Kart against a Lizardman, do not use a blue shell. 1, they see it as kinda racist since they're blue and some of them have shells, and 2, if you make them angry enough, they'll go into an uncontrollable fit of rage and beat you to a pulp. I guess you can't expect a well-disciplined army from a faction that's led by Jabba the Hutt. Rumor has it he sends skink bounty hunters all over the world just to piss people off for his own amusement. What a jerk. Can't they add a good Star Wars character to this game? That's right, boys, it's time for the Dark Elves, the most edgiest and bestest faction there is. They're led by Malekith, who's just Elf Darth Vader, and that's a lot cooler than it sounds, I promise. Dark Elves are all huge jerks just for the sake of being jerks, which is very amusing. All their campaign random events basically boil down to, Sire, your lord has done something despicable. And then you can punish the lord, which usually results in some kind of negative penalty, or you can just go, hey, nice job on the despicable deeds, keep up the good work. Dark Elves don't have guns, sadly, but I'm okay with that because dark shards are so good and so cheap you can just hire a whole extra army of them to follow your guy around on the map. Then when you get into a battle, your 20 reinforcing dark shards can just delete any enemy unit in one glorious salvo. Is it a practical way to play the game? No. Is it my favorite way to play the game? Absolutely. One of the Dark Elf lords has a Cthulhu mask. They can field Hydras and Charybdises. Their entire culture is just everybody doing a Shadow the Hedgehog impression. I love them so much. Now, what if we took Dark Elves and made them really boring? Well, you'd get the High Elves. These are the good guy elves, and they have good archers and a bird that's on fire, and they think they're all that just because they live on the Donut Island. Just wait till the end times, you little bitch. He's so pompous and snooty when his campaign is so easy. Like, dude, you get like 50 free fortresses, okay? It's not impressive when you win. The only redeeming quality the High Elves have is Aletha Nar, because he's voiced by Zach and Cody, and that's funny. He has a long-standing grudge with Malekith, so he's kind of like the Obi-Wan to Malekith's Anakin, but unfortunately for Aletha Nar, Malekith has the high ground. Get it? Because his starting location is more to the north? Nope, nothing? Okay, well, I hope you all enjoyed this very fair and unbiased guide to all the factions in Total Warhammer. Thanks for like, favorite, subscribing, reblog me on Twitch, and if anybody is trying to unload some Dark Elf miniatures, then hit me up in the comments. Now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta go paint these dark shards.